TopMedTalk.
Well, hello and welcome to TopMedTalk. TopMedTalk is at ANZCA this year, the Australian New Zealand College of Anaesthetists and Faculty of Perioperative Medicine annual scientific meeting in Sydney, Australia. I'm Desiree, Chappell, your host, and I'm joined by my co-host, Monty Mythen. Hello, Monty.
Desiree, it's great to see you, even though I'm looking at you sadly on a laptop in the corner of our pop-up booth here. I've just given away the secret.
You did. I was like, spoiler alert. So, Monty, you have the privilege of being on the ground there in Sydney, and I am at home in Louisville, Kentucky, joining you virtually. So, a little bit different than what we normally do. It's a little bit reminiscent of the COVID years, but still fun nonetheless.
We're absolutely thrilled to be invited by ANZCA, the Australian New Zealand College of Anaesthetists, to have a shared space here in the trade exhibition, right next to 3M, who very kindly sponsored me to come here as one of the industry-sponsored speakers. And it's a Be Connected meeting, and our brief was very much to say, let's be as connected as possible. So without further ado, we should probably introduce our very special guest.
Absolutely. Kicking off our elite lineup of guests this year is a friend of TopMedTalk and a previous guest. We met Vanessa Beavis during our Pockapalooza event. And if you don't know what Pockapalooza is, look it up on TopMedTalk. It was our festival of perioperative care that first summer of COVID at our virtual EBPOM meeting. When we caught up with Vanessa, she had just taken over her presidency for ANZCA just a couple months before, and we were speaking with Ross Carriage. Vanessa, it is so wonderful to see you again. Thank you so much for coming back on TopMedTalk.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, Vanessa, I know, again, we knew at the time you were just getting into your presidency. Catch us up on where you are now and, what's been going on over the last several years for you.
Well, yes, COVID.
How long do we have?
Yeah, that's right, yes. Well, COVID was a big interruption to perioperative medicine and what we wanted to achieve there. But nevertheless, never waste a good crisis. And some things were really helpful, actually, in the COVID thing. Number one is everyone suddenly realised that anaesthetists were doctors and we're more than just technicians. And that was a great leap forward, actually. And it also forced us all to work together very nicely, but in a more crisis-type situation. So once we kind of got the COVID stuff sorted out, because what we did find was that every single thing that we just took for granted as just happening as business as usual, like exams and, the running of the college, suddenly required everyone's full attention and full focus. So we couldn't do anything other than just get through that and stop the whole thing from disintegrating, really.
Vanessa, if I may, because we've heard that story from around the world, from different partners around the world, that team anaesthesia were suddenly recognised as major players in the space. We were kind of the people who were there to fix everything. But some constituencies have told us that it didn't stick. Has it stuck here, as far as you're concerned?
Only a little bit.
Okay.
They suddenly, afterwards, because we helped out with the general medical wards, we helped out in ED all over the place.
Yep.
And so, of course, when it went back to business as usual, suddenly we got requests to come and help do the same sort of things. But at that stage, we had to say, no, we need to protect our trainees for a start, because they need training time back in anaesthesia. And then, of course, with the elective surgery being paused for a while, suddenly there's a massive demand, and so in fact it's all hands to the pump now. But that said, the relationships if you bond over a crisis, the relationships are quite deep and quite strong. So I think it has actually helped that sort of natural, who are you, radiology or something.
And the final thing from me before we go back to Desiree and explore the primary purpose of today's interview is the Great Resignation. Same here, or we got a lot of our junior doctors have decided they want to leave the UK and come and work in Australia.
Look, Australia is a very good place to work. New Zealand's even better, of course.
Okay.
So, just do a little,
Little plug there.
little bit of recruitment. Yes, I think what's happened is people dropped time, and they just never picked it up afterwards. Some people said, I've had enough of this, I'm going into private. And a whole lot of people just said, you know what, life is actually quite important and it's not all about work. And suddenly there was a reset of priorities, I think.
Do you have the manpower to allow that to happen, though? Because we seem to have a manpower crisis in the UK now that is projected to be extremely large.
There's certainly a reduction in people on the ground. we've always had a rural problem, for example, to get people, particularly train people to go out into the periphery. But we're doing other things to try and ameliorate that. We actually have the capacity to train. We could train many, many more people. We've just got to persuade the government to pay for it. And so they're still getting their head around the fact that actually they could have more instead of just whinging about it if they just put their money where the mouth is. But you probably find the same thing in the OR. If it's the anaesthetists who are short one day, it's the nurses the next day. And the nurses and the anaesthetic assistants are actually a bigger problem than team anaesthesia.
Which, Desiree, I hand back to you now to discuss, we a perioperative medicine, because I think there's some news we're going to be hearing about at this meeting about perioperative medicine in Australia and New Zealand. And that's going to be very exciting. But part of the challenge there is going to be, which we'll get into after hearing the news, is who's going to do the work. So, Desiree, off you go.
Absolutely. Well, before I'm gonna make it a little bit suspenseful. Vanessa, tell us just about, you're from New Zealand, so not from Australia proper, but you took over presidency in 2020, and tell us a little bit about your professional journey and where you're going here professionally in the next phase.
Yes, so it's a binational college, and so we presidents come from wherever. And I was the second New Zealand president since the college started in 1993, I think it was, can't remember exactly. But anyway, early 90s now. So the second New Zealand president. And so we have a very good relationship, and it didn't really matter where you came from. You just picked it up and off you went. Luckily, Zoom was invented just in time. So we actually got Zoom sort of installed just before the pandemic, which was quite lucky because Australia is such an enormous country, and and New Zealand's tiny but a long way away. That we needed some means of becoming better connected. So from a clinical point of view, my major area of interest is liver transplant. So I'm a liver transplant anaesthetist. And then apart from that, because we don't do that all the time, I just do whatever I get told to do. And that's very good. But my interest now, at this stage of my career, is definitely more into the periop arena, because from a personal point of view, I don't need to do big, enormous cases with massive bleeding and all that kind of stuff. There are other people who are now better suited to doing that kind of thing. And you just move to the next stage where you can contribute. And so for me, because I started life as a general practitioner back in the day before I did anaesthesia. So I love talking to people. So my happy place has actually put me in the high-risk anaesthetic clinic. I am very happy to be there, and doing all the things that are involved there, and then and then taking it through to its logical conclusion after that.
Yeah. So you've been handing over your presidency, and now you are going into this next phase. We've been talking about perioperative medicine. So tell us this big announcement that the college is prepared to make at the meeting this year.
Yes. So this meeting is the launch of our Diploma of Perioperative Medicine, which has been many, many years in the making. There's lots of academic, very, very good perioperative medicine courses and certificates and qualifications and things. But we're proud of this because this is the first time it's interdisciplinary completely from one end to the other. And secondly, has got a whole clinical component, which most others, I think actually it's the first, nobody has put that together in this way. So we're very excited by this. We think it's going to be great for everybody, of course for the patients, but also in the value triad, good for everybody.
So if I'm right, we've had master's programs, for example, of which the original one I think was from Australia, and popped up elsewhere around the world, but they don't have a clinical component. No. That's a knowledge.
Yes.
So this has actually got clinical competence built into it as well?
Yeah, the clinical immersion with micro assessments like WBA type assessments through the whole thing. There's not going to be a big massive exit exam at the end. It's going to be more programmatic assessment as we go along. It consists, the other thing is that it's been designed along the perioperative pathway. So we have the pathway or the care framework, as we call it, is fondly known as the nephron. It sort of goes in circles, and it's divided into six stages, 6 modules or topics, if you like, starting with the referral to surgery. So it's the pre-op planning, preparation, optimization, the intra-op component, and then post-op disposition, as well as referring back to the primary referrer. And what we've done is we've involved people that we think, or craft groups, if you like, that are involved in this journey from the whole way through. So we've included the general practitioners, as well as the rural general practitioners, or rural and remote practitioners, surgeons, anaesthetists, intensive care doctors, and the physicians, and the pain medicine specialists. So it's in different craft groups, because we realise that you have to it's so simple now. When you look at it, you think, God, how could you take 2 years to work this out? It's so simple and so clear. But now we see, first of all, not one single craft group has got the full skill set to deal with a patient from woe to go. And also not one single craft group owns the perioperative space. We all apply our expertise at different areas, and one takes the lead at this point and the others sort of bow out, and then they become more important.
And do you have to be a physician at the moment to do it?
Yes, it has to be a doctor who does it, and it has to be someone who's post-fellowship as well. So it's not, you can't just go in at a new grad kind of level. Because this sort of thing, it's not straightforward. It does actually pull together a whole lot of years of experience and exposure that is important to it. It's not just as simple as learning a technical skill or a very narrow, highly specialised focus.
No, that's fantastic. Is there any curriculum for non-physicians that complement what you are doing on the physician side or the doctor side?
Well, at the moment we focused on the doctor side with the diploma, but there is certainly, but part of it is not dealing with, but working alongside or being trained, if you like, by others. So, depending on the hospital situation, so it could be. We have a thing called PAR nurses who basically are the almost the med team, but they will follow up, for example, on post-operative patients or anybody who's flagged as being more at high risk than others. And the nurses pick up those patients and check and reevaluate, etc., and then decide who needs to go where. And our participants will go along with those people, dietitians, surgical school, pre-assessment, rehabilitation, all that sort of stuff, with people who are clearly not doctors, but everybody contributes to this, so it's very exciting for us. It's a very broad curriculum.
And can you do it in isolation from elsewhere in the world, or is it for Australia and New Zealand doctors at the moment?
We're just starting it at the moment, so we want to get it bedded in Australia and New Zealand. We're going to pilot the first module in September, 4th of September. And the people who are going to be supervising are those who've been grandparented or via recognition pathway into the diploma. So again, we're trying to get, and of course, the thing with that is once you've got that, then you're expected to help and get it going and supervise and do it. But there are also some luminaries who we would like to approach from elsewhere in the world to be part of this, because the one thing that we found about perioperative medicine, people have been so generous with their time and their material and their expertise, and CPOC is a great example of that, actually. So thank you very much for that. And so
that's a Centre for Perioperative Care, Desiree, that we've interviewed people about before. You know well, which is an intercollegiate endeavour, which is not restricted to physicians at the moment, but it doesn't at the moment have, as far as I understand, a diploma, even though I think they're exploring it as well.
Yes, we're talking with CPOC at the moment about that. Yeah. So, yeah.
What a great opportunity. So what is people are interested in finding out more about this or participating either on the lending a helping hand and being part of the program or actually, getting the diploma. Where can they find more information?
Well, if they're on site at the meeting, there's a perioperative medicine booth here. So there will be a fellow who's involved in setting up the diploma, present at all the morning teas and afternoon teas, etc., as well as our amazing college staff who will be manning it all the time. And then, of course, the college website, so Australia and New Zealand College of Anaesthetists, Perioperative Medicine, click and you'll go straight to the link with all the information you could possibly want. And then, of course, everyone knows where we live, so feel free, just email directly, no problem at all. Yeah.
And how long is it planning to take, Vanessa? I think you mentioned it in passing, but
yes, it's 6 topics altogether in 3 semesters of 10 weeks each, and it's possible to do 2 at a time.
Okay.
So we're starting with topic 1, and then we'll be doing the next, the following year. And we also expect that because it's being done by topic,
Yes.
that people could actually say, well, I don't want to do the whole diploma, but I actually need a bit of, upskilling, or I'm interested in this, I want to do this particular section. So we'll be doing that. One thing that we did decide early on was that there was not going to be any recognition of prior learning.
Yes.
So if you're a specialist wanting to do it, you can do one topic if you want, but if you want to do the whole diploma, you need to do the whole diploma. And that's because even as an anaesthetist, you may say, well, I don't need to do topic 3, I'm in the OR all the time. But actually your experience is very different from somebody else's experience, and
Yes.
your practice is different. And it's quite good to understand what other people are thinking, so that everyone has the same shared mental model, to use the, classic phrase. But we do have that. We've all got the same language, and we're all then on the same page coming out of it.
And we love a good post-nominal in Australia,
Oh,
New
yes.
Zealand,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
the UK. What do you get? What extra letters do you get?
Oh, you'll get a Diploma.
Diploma,
Yeah,
right, at the
Diploma.
end of it. And
Yes.
and what does that allow you to do that other people can't do? Or is that yet to be determined?
That's yet to be determined. Well, at the moment, the interesting thing about it actually is that at the moment you can still do all of this sort of
Yes.
thing. But despite that, there's a great deal of interest in it, and clearly people recognise it's not just about the post-nominals. It is actually about upskilling. And so there's a difference between being a perioperative medicine practitioner, because everybody does that at some point, and being a specialist in it, and that's what we are aiming for.
It'll be really exciting to hear what the hospital, the system, the value that they put to this, and really start creating the value around that, that you can offer as a perioperative medicine practitioner of sorts, and the value add that you have as that person. So, Vanessa, this is so exciting. Thank you so much for sitting down with us to chat more about it. Hopefully we'll be hearing a little bit and can maybe catch up with those folks who are involved later in the year and see how the course is kicking off later in the fall. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the invitation. It's very, very exciting for us. Years in the making. Thank you.
Vanessa, thank you so much for sitting
Thank
down.
you.
We need to get you some coffee now.
I need coffee, totally.
I
Big
know,
time.
coffee.
Yeah.
And all right. Well, Vanessa, thanks again for joining us. You can hear Vanessa's previous conversation at TopMedTalk.com. Type in Palooza. You will find it there. With TopMedTalk, you can find us on your favorite podcatcher, on your favorite social media platform, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. We are there. Our live event schedule is up online now. So if you want to find out what's happening in the exhibit hall on the TopMedTalk booth, please do check that out. We are with 3M. We wanted to say, again, a huge shout out to them. Thank you so much for the support. They're at booth 79. Check them out. Come and check the TopMedTalk stage out. Say hi to Monty. He'd love to sit down if we have a chance to catch up and talk. And we also wanted to do a quick shout out to our other sponsors, Edwards Life Sciences, GE Healthcare, Medtronic. You guys help us so much. Keep TopMedTalk free and open access to the world. We couldn't be here in Australia doing what we do without you guys. So thanks again. Thanks so much for listening. Cheers.
Thanks very much. Bye.
TopMedTalk.
Thanks for downloading TopMedTalk. Don't forget to subscribe via your podcatcher. Don't forget to check us out on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And also, don't forget, TopMedTalk is the broadcasting arm of EBPOM, Evidence-Based Perioperative Medicine. We'd love you to find out more about that. If you check out ebpom.org, you can find low prices on some of the conferences we're organising around the world. Many of them are virtual and don't even involve you leaving your own home. Check out ebpom.org now.